There's a debate that occurs on Twitter about every year. Who gives the better speech? Optimus Prime or Captain America? The unanimous answer is always, if Optimus Prime gives a speech with Linkin Park playing in the background, you should be prepared to fight any bad guy at any time. Hey everybody, you're watching Playing for Cats, a channel dedicated to helping animals in need get the help they need. If you want to support the cause, hit the like and subscribe button, then check out the links on my channel to see how you can financially assist nonprofits helping these animals. Looking back on it, the Transformers movie is pretty weird, right? There's obviously explosions, girls, and cars, but what is it really trying to say? Knowing Michael Bay, probably not a whole lot. It's a basic story about good versus evil where good wins through some sacrifice. It's pretty simple stuff. But it's not really reflective of happy emotions like your typical kid's movie. Just solely based on the monologue that Optimus speaks, reflecting on the experience they've had on Earth so far, it's very solemn. His firm tone and message of hope tries to convey a sense of victory, but there is a deep underlying feeling of loss. He's not celebrating his group's win or the fact that the day was saved, but they managed to salvage what was left of this planet and call it a home. Sure, it's a gain, but it's a net loss when you consider that their homeworld is destroyed without any hope of bringing it back. So what does Linkin Park have to do with any of this? Well, they're apparently total nerds. Looking at their discography, they have a taste for animation and dramatics. Knowing that their roots are linked to Gundam, a Japanese franchise all about giant robots duking it out, it's pretty easy to see why they'd say yes to Michael Bay's call. But why pick Linkin Park as the audible ambassador for your brand? Linkin Park had massive success in the early 2000s with Hybrid Theory and Meteora. But by the time 2007 rolled around, their release that year, Minutes to Midnight, only sold about a quarter of the records that Hybrid Theory did years prior. Was it simply the fact that the word metal is in the genre's name, or is that giving Bay's creative team too little credit? In reality, it was most likely the fact they wanted the Transformers brand to age up with the rest of their fan base from the 80s while still remaining appealing to kids that wanted some transforming robot toys. What better way to do that than to get the biggest band in a genre that blends pop, metal, rock, and rap? Linkin Park's industrial, mature sound and heavy lyrics that didn't dive too deep into graphic or derogatory messages was the perfect way to let audiences know that things weren't going to be as kid-friendly as they were in 1986, but they also weren't going to alienate families from catching the film. What I've Done is the song that we all know from Transformers 2007. The song was the lead single off of the previously mentioned Minutes to Midnight. It received a massive boost in plays after it was used in the commercial for this massive theatrical event. The seemingly dead franchise about childish robots changing into fun vehicles was brought back with a roar. But why does it work so well? At the end of the film, when the song is most prominent, Optimus gives a speech about loss, hope, and change to anyone that will listen. Why does Linkin Park, a band known for their lyrics involving depression, rage, and suicide, seem to effortlessly fill the audible gap between the giant robot and the audience? The answer is so brilliant that you wouldn't believe this was a product of Michael Bay. What I've Done tells the story of someone looking to erase their past, right their wrongs, and better the future. Starting over may be hard, but the storyteller is sure to let the audience know that forgiving yourself is the first step to atoning for your mistakes. Looking at some of the characters of the film, we see a clear line depicting their arcs over the course of the movie. Optimus Prime, the gentle giant, the Superman of the Transformers universe, a selfless hero of a war he didn't want to fight, constantly feels regret at the loss of life that he may be responsible for. As a leader of his faction, he's constantly perpetuating this fight against tyranny. It may be the right thing to do, but it is constantly hurting his cause that innocence is lost every time conflict arises. We see the development of this over the course of the franchise as humanity turns their back on their unlikely saviors, even going so far as to have them deported off the planet. However, despite the constant betrayal and self-doubt, Optimus knows that his cause is just. Sam Witwicky, aka Shia LaBeouf just being himself in front of a camera, develops a lot over the course of 143 minutes. At first, he's your typical teenager. He's only concerned with a few things: cars, girls, and passing grades. But after meeting Michaela and developing a sense of empathy, finding a friend in Bumblebee and developing a sense of belonging, and going face to face with the embodiment of evil and conquering his own fear, Sam turns into a very unlikely hero. The Sam at the end of the movie chooses courage and sacrifice over self-preservation. When Chester sings about putting first impressions aside and washing our hands of the past, he's encapsulating Sam's journey so far. He rises above the audience's and his own expectations and chooses to change the future by denying his past. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen followed up the first movie's massive success while stumbling a bit due to the writer strike at the time, but that didn't stop Linkin Park from matching the level of effort they put in for the first movie by co-writing New Divide with Steve Jablonsky, the lead composer for this film. While What I've Done was the lead single of a previously planned album, New Divide was created with the intention of being a Transformers song. The main music video for this track was explicitly a tie-in for this film as well. The song is clearly about distance between people trying to reach an understanding. With a significantly larger emphasis on shocking imagery with lyrics like black skies, ashes fell like snow and the ground caved in, it's clear there is a much bigger sense of grandiose like this story. At this point in the franchise, Sam is trying to regain any sense of normalcy that his life might have left. During the years of peace between the events of the previous movie, he's been increasingly detaching himself from the events of that previous film. This leads to him developing a divide of sorts between himself and the relationships he developed during that film. While Sam tries to move on by going to college and reintegrating with the real world, Bumblebee still tries to maintain their friendship. Knowing it's for the best, Sam dismisses Bumblebee's request and tells him to rejoin his teammates. Sam and Michaela also start to show cracks in their relationship due to the nature of long-distance dating. Their divide is less functional like Bumblebee's guardianship role, but it's more practical. The most important relationship divide is between Sam and Optimus, arguably the two main characters of these movies. Optimus, a firm believer in self-sacrifice for the greater good, can't seem to understand why Sam would choose to have a self-fulfilling goal rather than a selfless one. With Sam's help, the Autobots could fill the void between themselves and the humans. Due to the strain caused by the violence of the Decepticons, humans have lost faith in the Autobots' ability to defend them against their enemies. With a spokesperson like Sam, who knows the Autobots' true intentions, they could move forward with their mission. However, due to the new divide between what Sam wants to do versus what he needs to do, progress is halted and people are hurt. In the third movie, Dark of the Moon, is the last time that Linkin Park is put center stage by this franchise. The lead single of this film, Iridescent, is much more brooding, isolated, and solemn compared to the previous two driving, passionate songs. The intro to this song is so brooding, in fact, that it plays as the characters enter a war-torn city right after the darkest hour moment. The song's sound is much more on the nose for the film compared to the previous two. However, its story about the protagonist releasing all the negative emotions of their past is much more vague. For Sam, we can look at it as him realizing all the errors he made over the previous two films. He's much more mature in this movie, having graduated college and found a much more relationship without Michaela. He's moved on from the horrors of his past. However, no matter how far ahead he gets, the past keeps rearing its ugly head for Sam to face. When his new love interest is taken and the Autobots are seemingly destroyed, Sam takes it upon himself to save her. He's letting go of all the barriers that have held him back so far. No matter how many times life seems to get in the way, he's letting go of the constant disappointment and shame. Whether it's external or internal, this Sam is a much more mature, refined character than the teenager we saw at the start. Optimus, on the other hand, has a much more interesting arc in this film. The Transformers characters rarely ever develop. Usually they have a unique, one-off gimmick that are constant until the next wave of toys is needed. Optimus is the leader, Megatron is pure evil, Bumblebee is the cool one, etc. However, in this film, Optimus faces real obstacles other than just which bad guy is in front of him. Due to some contrivances with the film plot, Optimus reunites with his old mentor and hero. When your expectations of someone are as high as his were, you are doomed to be let down. This hero betrays Optimus' trust and breaks his confidence. The humans consider the Autobots to be less desirable than the Decepticons, so they turn their back on their previous friends. Optimus is usually extremely stoic, reserved, and collected. In this journey, we really see his composure get tested as all of his walls come crumbling down. When you're as lawful good as Optimus Prime, nobody can live up to your standards of bravery and heroism. We see this character that has been a hero to numerous generations become a jaded warrior instead of the Abraham Lincoln figure of the 80s. The failures of the past are clearly weighing on him. His actions are clearly influenced by the actions taken by others before him. While the song reflects how Sam feels, it represents how Optimus should feel. Clear to see that Michael Bay and his team knew what they were doing when they picked Linkin Park to be their musical mascot. The two probably have a massive overlapping fan base. Not only did the band deliver musically, but I think the fans had a lot of influence in making the scenes, dialogue, and music so iconic. Who knows, in an era where sharing information wasn't as easy as it is right now, maybe the scenes that get shared on Twitter wouldn't have gotten any traction. Maybe fans of franchises deserve more credit for really boosting the status of pop culture events. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you think Linkin Park should have stuck around for the rest of the franchise, or if they could have done something differently that would have made you appreciate the films even more. If you like the content, please drop a like, as it really helps Playing for Cats spread more outreach for animals in need. Thank you again, and take care.